If you're one of the millions of Americans who already voted, you may have noticed additional questions on the ballot beyond the candidate choices. With so much focus on the race for the White House, it was easy to miss that 2020 is actually a major year for ballot measures. There are more than 120 on ballots across 32 states. Louis Jacobson is a senior correspondent for PolitiFact. Last week, he released a guide of 70 significant initiatives from across the country for the University of Virginia Center for Politics. And Louis joins me now. Louis, great to have you. Thanks for being with us. So by far, the largest section of your rundown was on voting and elections. Walk us through some of the important measures on the way things are run.
Yeah, it actually surprised me when I looked at it that there were so many. One of the more notable ones is in the state of Alaska, where a single initiative would actually have several parts to it, including starting all party primaries, kind of like a system that California currently uses, where the top two finishers, it's actually top four finishers in Alaska would face off in the general, and also ranked choice voting, which is already used in Maine. It's basically where the voters rank order their choices from first to however many candidates are running. It's kind of a way to make sure that the largest number of voters are satisfied with the choice, and that spoilers don't prevent a very unpopular candidate from getting, say, a third of the vote and winning. And then
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And then in Florida, they are also looking at a top two primary system, similar to the one in California. And then separately, Massachusetts is looking at ranked choice voting as well, following Maine's lead. Then there's a sort of unusual one in Mississippi. There's a long-standing rule about the governor's race there that it's sort of like the Electoral College on the federal level. There's like a distribution requirement for how many districts you have to win, and the voters would get rid of that and make it a more traditional kind of election. There's also a bunch of redistricting things on the ballot. Virginia would create a bipartisan system for drawing new district lines. And then also Missouri would actually take a step back. A couple of years ago, Missouri voters backed a more fair anti-gerrymandering type of system, and the state lawmakers kind of are fighting back against that and trying to peel back some of those provisions through a popular vote. Finally, a bunch of states are looking, including North Dakota, at tightening the rules for actually making it for actually putting ballot initiatives on the ballot. They would make it harder to pass ballot initiatives.
Well, there is also a host of measures on taxes, wages, and workers' rights that could affect people's bank accounts. What can you tell us about those?
Sure. There's a big one in Arizona, which would raise taxes on wealthier taxpayers and use the proceeds to support schools. Colorado and Oregon are among the states that would raise the tobacco tax. Illinois would put in place a graduated state income tax, one with different levels as you go higher in the income scale, which it currently can't under its law. In California, there's a ballot measure that's being pursued by Uber and a number of other rideshare and delivery services. The state had passed a law that gives certain rights to workers for those companies, making them more like full-time employees. And the companies are trying to push back on that, and they placed a ballot measure which would sort of water down what the state law says. And finally, in Florida, there is a ballot measure that would raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
This next issue really seems to be a sign of the times. Marijuana is back on the ballot in several states. What states are voting on legalizing drugs, and what's the potential impact here on the criminal justice system?
Yeah, so 3 states are looking at legalizing recreational marijuana, which is not just a case where you can get a prescription and get it. This is actually for small amounts for personal use as you see fit. Arizona, Montana, and New Jersey. New Jersey looks, the last poll I saw looked fairly favorable. I'm not sure about the other two states, but already we have a couple of states across the country that have done this, and we keep seeing these on a state-by-state basis because there is no federal law on this yet. The states have been kind of trying to do it on their own, and then two other states have a less far-reaching one, Mississippi and South Dakota, two very conservative states. They are actually considering medical marijuana, where you would need a prescription. And then on the outer reaches, you've got two places, Oregon and Washington, D.C., are actually considering loosening restrictions on magic mushrooms. This has not been tried yet. It'll be a sort of interesting test case. It goes further than anything we have seen in terms of the marijuana laws.
All right. Well, Louis Jacobson, it's really interesting to note these, considering how much attention, of course, the presidential contest has been getting. People should be aware there are these really fascinating ballot measures as well this year. Thank you so much, Louis, for your time.
Thank you so much.